The topic of today's sermon is attunement. A quick disclaimer that attunement in this context describes how reactive a person is to another's emotional needs, as well as the ability to identify the hills and valleys of one's own emotional landscape. Let us start by talking about the other guy and later sneak up on our own darn selves, shall we? Years ago, my peer group consisted in large part of suburban upper middle class folks with small children. We often had group play dates for our kids and took turns babysitting for each other's children. One day, my good friend had a no-show sitter and called to ask me if I could watch her young son, Kyle, for the day. Not such a big deal, and naturally, I said yes. It was after we hung up, however, that I realized I had forgotten to consider one important fact. Kyle is deaf. A wee bit of panic hit me, but she was a good friend and in a bind and probably on the way to my house already as soon as we had hung up. So, Jesus, take the wheel was about all I had time to say before this adorable, if not very confused youngster and I were waving goodbye to Kyle's mom as she headed out to work. He looked a bit confused, and then he plopped down in the grass with a bit of a furrowed brow. So I did the same, hoping not to have the furrowed brow. Just as it looked like he was about to cry or throw a whopper temper tantrum, I remembered the only bit of sign language his mom had quickly taught me. The sign for friend. Friend. Time stopped while this young child watched me make this sign, knowing it meant my friend. And then I plopped down on the grass next to him with what I hoped was a reassuring smile on my face. Several times, many times, repeating the only word I knew in sign language: friend, friend, friend. And then the cavalry arrived. Our dog, Daisy, crashed the party and started licking faces and wagging tails and rolling down the small hill in our backyard until the dog, the little boy, and I landed on one big pile of each other at the bottom of the green grassy hill. And we laughed and tried to untangle ourselves and did it all over again. And then again, and then again, till we were breathless. And something shifted. It felt like we had somehow shared something very important, something that did not need words or signs or detailed explanations. We just had fun, like riding the same wave in the ocean again and again and again. Oddly enough, it turns out, to my surprise, sedentary bookworm that I usually am, moving your body can be a gang of fun. Kyle and my husband, the ex-dance teacher turned engineer, they both taught me that. And then I remembered another time when I had felt reluctant engaging in physical activity, even further back in the past. I had moved to Chicago after college, and a friend encouraged me to attend a fundraiser for a homeless women's shelter. I'll be honest, I was not much of a dancer. Doing the twist, for those old enough to recall that dance, the twist was about the extent of my dance moves at the time. But on that magical night, I danced the night away with the best dancer I'd ever been with. He was such a great dancer and cheerful teacher that I felt relaxed. I felt safe and really fully engaged in the present moment, sensing the same from my partner. It was as if we had created a magical world just for us. And for that time, it was as if we were the only people present. And a couple of years later, we were married. Nowadays, we may be dancing to a beautiful waltz rather than the twist and shout music of the past. But I am still thrilled by the smooth connection, the subtle yet clear guidance from my dance partner, and the felt sense of being so attuned to one another that we can move gracefully as one. With whom or what circumstances, my friends, do you feel a sense of attunement? With a working partner, perhaps? A close sibling? Or a life partner? And how does it work? Because sometimes we find it takes work and hours of practice to say, dance like Fred and Ginger. At other times, we find folks of widely different backgrounds or ages who seem to almost read one another's mind. It happened recently for my husband when a family friend brought her boyfriend over for an evening. Years apart in age, but by the end of the night, we could barely get a word in as Eric and our guest geeked out and spoke engineer-ese all evening. It actually was touching to see two people of different generations with such attunement to one another. for finding a life passion, and then finding others who share a similar interest. Well, it can feel like coming home to folks who really get you and inform you and challenge you to go even further along your path, whatever it may be. And now we have come full circle. I would like to circle back around to my young friend Kyle. How is his life unfolding, you may wonder? Well, I am happy to report my dear friend Kyle, he found his people. He found his happy patch, his place of like-minded athletes, a community in which he felt comfortable, in which he felt attuned to similar goals and perspectives. My friends, if you would like to learn more about my friend Kyle, just Google or look up the Deaf Ninja Warrior online to discover more about my dear friend Kyle. And I encourage each of us to discover our own pathway to meaningful personal challenges, growth, opportunities, and the sense of community. May all people discover an encouraging community with whom attunement and continuous healthy growth may be supported, just as each of us have found one another in our Unity in the City community. And for these connections and the opportunity to learn from one another, let us say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Namaste. Namaste. Amen.